On the 25th day, the third sailor, Brooks, who was this time was extremely weak, suggested that they all draw lots and that the loser be killed and eaten by the other two. Both Dudley and Stephens agreed. The next morning, lots were drawn and Brooks lost. At this point, Brooks objected and refused to consent. However, Dudley and Stephens decided that Brooks would die soon anyway, so they might as well get over with. After thus agreeing, they killed Nate Brooks. Oh, so this one's, Riley.
5 days later, Dudley and Stephens were rescued by a passing ship and brought to the water. They explained to authorities that what had happened to Brooks after delivering from their ordeal to no place on trial for murder. The country in which they tried was following law, and the person who deliberately takes the life of another is guilty of murder. So, I finished.
Oh, you finished it? So yeah, discussion questions. Marvin and Chase. Oh, there. You're Marvin and Chase. Oh, it's up there. Okay, so read this while we're going over number 1. You don't need your laptops for right now. Or right now. No. So read it over while they're discussing like these questions and stuff. So I'm going to go over number 1 with you guys. You guys will be discussing with your partners for number 1, and then I'm going to talk to you about number 1. Then we're going to go to number 2. The same thing. So don't move on. We're going over each one separately. So number 1, should Dudley and Stephens be tried for murder? Explain. Go ahead and discuss with your partners.
I would say no. Because Brooks proposed it, but also this is a very strange circumstance in the fact that all of them were died. They didn't kill
That's true, right? You was a lawyer.
Yeah, like.
Yeah. So I really don't think this is a side for murder.
It was life or death.
It is what it is. Yeah.
They could have just waited for someone to die.
I'm not sure if this is like a real historically, nobody, or very few people were tried for murder in this kind of scenario.
Okay. Are you guys all done discussing? Yes? Just the first question. Just the first question. Luis, number 1, what do you think?
Me personally, I don't think they should be tried for murder.
Why?
Well, first of all, it was Brooks. It was Brooks who offered shit anyways, and it's a life and death situation. And they admitted to it first. And I feel like that was the problem there. I don't think they should have ever admitted to it, but yeah.
Okay. Does anyone have an opposing opinion that would like to explain? Yeah? Explain why you have an opposing opinion. From which, we don't know which country though.
What is it?
It is law. But it was like a life or death situation like Luis said.
What is the law?
It's the law.
They did it
You could eat sea turtles.
Don't eat sea turtles.
But you can if you're stranded out.
If you're
They're
saving
still
turtles.
turtles.
Save
Someone
the
else.
turtles, dangerous.
Well,
Turtles are
the
more
plastic
important
inside
than
your
humans.
stomach.
Apparently, yeah.
Okay.
I'm saving them by cutting open their stomach, taking the straws out.
Okay. So, hey, Michael, can you close the?
Yeah.
Thank you. Ella, close yours. But trust me, you'll have time after all of this to do whatever you need to do. Not after this one, but after the other activity we're doing, you'll have time. So, I promise you that. So, as an attorney for Dudley and Stephens, what argument would you make on their behalf? And as an attorney for the government, what arguments would you make on the government's behalf? Discuss.
For their attorney, I would say like.
Oh my god, I know. Well, I'm
So we're like, we can make an argument to justify that?
Are you guys discussing that here? Are you guys separate?
I'm quiet. I don't like talking bad.
Okay. Alyssa, as an attorney for Dudley and Stevens, what arguments would you make on their behalf?
That I would argue that all of them would die at some point.
Okay. Riley, as an attorney for the government, what arguments would you make on the government's behalf?
Well, by law, it says that if murder is deliberate, then it should be tried guilty, so.
So pretty much kind of what like Nick said then. Okay. Abby, what would you say as an attorney for Dudley and Stevens?
They had a verbal agreement.
How can you prove that?
You can't prove it other than just saying they had a verbal agreement, but they admitted to it, so they're not like too guilty about it.
Or are they admitting to it because they're guilty?
I don't really care that much.
I appreciate the honesty. So. Alright, if Dudley and Stevens are convicted, what should their punishment be? 5 years? 5 years? Xavier, what'd you say?
Huh?
What'd you say? No, say what, no, just say 15 years? 5 years, 15 years?
How long are you normally in jail for killing someone?
Life sentence?
It depends on the state.
How you kill them.
Depends on how you kill them. If it's first degree, second degree, third degree, whatever.
I forgot
And they
this.
cannibalize
Manslaughter.
them, so.
It also depends on the state you're in. It's a whole thing. So,
And they cannibalize them too, so.
Chase, what do you think the punishment should be?
Life
or mental institution.
Mental institution? Yeah, because like they're stuck out in the middle of the ocean. You would think that they're mentally not there anymore. Colin, what do you think the punishment should be?
For the two gentlemen,
Mm-hmm.
about 4 or 5 years.
4 to 5 years?
And then parole.
Curl? See, all of you guys are saying like jail. The other classes, they all said death.
Well, see, but they have had a reason. It's like, you know, sometimes.
At least give them what they tried to attempt to get, freedom to survive after 15 years. So that they know not to kill someone, they just throw them out the same.
Doesn't every killer have a reason?
No, every doctor really just one job. I gotta keep going.
This one is more reasonable though than like other murderers.
It's not really a saint.
I don't think it should be like, eye for an eye.
Do you guys hear what Chase just said?
No.
Chase, say it louder.
We'll have to.
Yeah.
An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind, so you
Can't
can't
go.
just try to kill
Oh,
them.
okay.
If they put someone
It's poetic.
It is poetic. That's a good answer. Eye for an eye makes the world go blind. I've never heard that. That's a good job, Chase. I'm impressed. You guys had a very different answer than the rest of the other classes did, so that's kind of interesting.
What, they think it's like that?
Well, no, first hour they said to like fight to the death, fight each other to the death. Yeah. They also said that the family of the guy who's killed Brooks should pick like what the punishment is. That was all first hour, and they also said just death penalty. Second hour said either guillotine, prison, or like stoning, or okay, but it's different stoning. So this guy specifically said the guys at the bottom, the two guys are at the bottom of the hill. They're tied to something, and they throw a boulder down the hill. Yeah, he said that. Yes.
Or same thing before, you put them in
Who was the one that said that?
I'm not going to say who it was, but just know that they were very creative in their ideas. So yeah, it was kind of concerning. I'm not going to lie. It was very concerning. Yeah, it's extremely concerning, right? Yeah, it's kind of yeah. What?
Jason doesn't have this class. He doesn't?
I was gonna say I don't know who that is. Okay, so what purpose would be served by convicting Dudley and Stevens? What purpose would be served by convicting Dudley and Stevens?
Show people to look for other solutions rather than killing your partner.
That's just assuming I agree with punishment as a purpose.
Okay, guys, assuming that you think that they should be convicted, what would the purpose of it be? Justice for Brooks? What is the relationship between law and morality in this case? Was it morally wrong for Dudley and Stevens to kill Brooks?
No.
So this one I want you to discuss with your partners, because it says explain your answer. So discuss. Just think about your morals. Think about the laws. Think about how they can connect, how they can't connect.
I need backstory. I need to know if this guy's a surviving.
No, he could die. Now that this has been presented. Like, if you're gonna present something and then end up losing, like, you can't just get mad because you lost at your own game. Like, he came up with the idea. Like,
It wasn't wrong.
Like, I'm not gonna.
Okay.
You do that.
All right, son.
You've lost before.
Please, don't talk
Hey.
Well, this is a sore loser.
It's loud. I don't want that in there. It's a little loud. Kieran, what is the relationship between law and morality in this case?
He was, like, they broke the law by killing someone deliberately, but if they didn't, they all would have died
So what's the relationship? Are they working together?
against each other.
Against each other? Was it morally wrong for Dudley and Stevens to kill Brooks?
Yeah. Yes, and no.
Amanda,
What?
was it morally wrong for Dudley and Stevens to kill Brooks?
Yeah. I mean, they killed someone, so. it's
But they
wrong.
were gonna die.
Well,
That's exactly what
they
I
could
said.
have like went fishing or something.
Okay.
It doesn't say that they had on the ground.
It said that they didn't have
They
it.
didn't have anything on their
No, she said they had 30 days left to live, and on day
How are they supposed
25,
to
they
fish
killed
with their hands?
Stevens.
Everything in the
After
ocean's
25
huge.
days.
Yeah, and I worked
So they
it,
technically would have survived.
No, see, that was
And if they were
Yeah.
pregnant on the raft, they would have sunk themselves.
Like, if you're gonna do it on the last day of your ration, don't do it on the day 25.
Yeah, exactly. Xavier brings up a point. They did it on the 25th day. They can survive without food for 30 days. So they did it on the 25th day. So does that make them even more?
But it said after 5 days, then they
So on the 30th day, they got rescued. So they could have been given food on that 30th day, and they would have been fine. They would have been weak and starving.
They would have
You never starve.
on the 30th day.
It hurts.
Yeah, I would hope none of us have ever starved, because that would be sad.
I mean, like, you're gonna become dumb after a while. Might as well just.
Yeah.
Why didn't they only take away one arm, like like one of each other's arms?
Oh my
And
God.
just like, you know?
Because that's painful.
Eat your toes.
But,
You're, like, they're probably gonna die from infection.
there could have been like other solutions instead of like a whole person being killed.
Like
Jeffrey
a sea
Dahmer
turtle
could
for
do it.
crying
Why
out loud.
Lynn, were you the one who said that? If Jeffrey Dahmer can do it right
Yeah. They did,
Okay.
that was the problem.
Good point, alright, but they would probably get like an infection or something, and then they would end up dying anyways. Yeah. Okay, next question. Can an act be legal but immoral, and can an act be morally right but unlawful?
For both of them.
Xavier, you said you had a good answer?
Yeah, so for the first one, legal but it's like war. War is technically legal, but it's immoral.
Unless you're a war free.
Exactly. But that only applies to humans. So if I like gas or something.
Okay. Okay, so back to the explanation. You're gonna want to pay attention and to stop talking so you know what to do. Marvin, Michael, Chase, please stop talking so I can explain what you're doing. So you don't have any questions. It's your birthday?
Was yesterday.
Happy late birthday.
Oh, it looks like you gotta stop and see that.
No, we're not gonna do that.
Let's just kill some time.
So I'm assuming.
You heard her call.
I look what?
What?
What'd you say, Colin? Okay, back to explaining, so you don't have any questions. I'm expecting when you guys are doing this, you're not gonna have any questions on it.
We probably will.
You probably will because you guys are talking. Now I have to be quiet, and if I explain it, then you guys won't have any questions. So, what you're going to do is get all of these court cases that are on the individual pieces of paper, and you are going to separate them into federal court cases, state court cases, and both federal and state, so concurrent. You're deciding if New Jersey versus New York is either. You're deciding if New Jersey versus New York is federal or state, or both. So make sure you're reading them because you would think New Jersey versus New York is a state case, right? Because it has states. Is it? Is
Yeah,
it? Is it federal? Is it both? Is it state? I have no idea. So you have to figure that out. Guys, Chase asked a question, and maybe you guys might have that same question. Yeah, Chase?
Two private parties.
Two private parties?
Yeah. Like McPherson versus Buick Motor Company.
Well,
Or it's not a state.
look at the worksheet, or this sheet with all the information that you might need for it. It might tell you.
Court case against the same guy.
What?
It says or versus or.
Or versus her, is it the same person or is it two different people? So make sure you guys are reading these carefully, and so you can figure out whether they're state, federal, or both. And then after you do that, I'll go ahead and I'll go around and I'll check to see if you guys have them in the right order, in the right section, and then after you guys have them in the right section, you are going to get a piece of paper. It can be the back of this paper, I don't care. It can be a lined piece of paper. You guys are going to write the explanations for why New Jersey versus New York is federal or state or both. You're going to do those explanations. It shouldn't take you long. A lot of the classes had plenty of time at the end to do whatever they wanted. So that is what you're doing. Yeah. If you have any questions, ask now. Because, yeah, Xavier?
Actually, we're just gonna put them in 3 piles.
Yeah, three piles basically. Yeah, Coach?
We just call you and we're done.
Yeah, you can just raise your hand.
Are we just grading it like once we have them all right?
I'm grading your explanation.
So we have to explain for like each one.
We have to write.
Yes, Maddox, you can sit next to Jex.
Where we write it at?
You're gonna work with Jex. Jex can explain. Like I said, you can write on the back of this paper, and you're doing the explanations as to why each court case is in whatever section.
We can write on this?
On the, yes, you can use this, or you can use a separate piece of paper. But you're working with your partners. Make sure both of your guys' names are on that. So go ahead and get started.
Tell me which